Yeah, we will.
It's probably just not turned on.
Yeah, I turned up. All right, 6 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order. Everybody rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank everybody for coming. We're gonna do roll call. Amy?
Here.
Sheila?
Here.
Nita?
Okay, here,
Lacey?
here.
Myself here. All right. We have to do approval of the minutes. We had our regular meeting and our 2000.
You missed the agenda.
You missed the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, yeah.
Your highlighter.
Yeah, I know, that's, you guys got me going. So, can we get approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion. Second motion.
Second?
Jason,
Yes.
I asked you for some agenda time, I don't see it's following here.
We were just doing it in public comment. Do you wanna be in a separate, on your
Yeah,
own,
because I
or?
want more than 3 minutes.
Okay,
Wouldn't that fall under the cemetery report?
yeah, you
No,
can
'cause
do
I
it.
got something unrelated to cemetery.
We can amend the agenda.
Okay, so we'll make an amend to the agenda. We'll add, we'll put Vincent, let's do him on right after number 7, between payment of bills and old business, new business.
You're 7A.
7A.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll redo my motion for the agenda with an amendment.
With an amendment?
I second the motion.
Second? All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, approval of the March 4th meeting minutes. Need a motion to accept those.
Make a motion to accept the March minutes.
I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our financial report. We get a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, I'll second it. Any discussion on the financial report?
What was Hip Hatters Catering?
When we did border review, they brought, we were up here from like 8 hours each day, or 6.5 hours each day.
Gotcha.
All right, financial report, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, payment of the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
I will second that. Any discussion on that? Any questions or? Any roll call?
Jason?
Yes.
Anita? Yes. Sheila?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Motion carried. All right, Vince.
Yeah, I just want to inquire, I've not seen anything in past meetings or in this meeting that's under new business. What's the situation with road pavings for this year?
Dickinson Road is the road that is scheduled to be paved.
Okay.
We're going in, splits with Constantine on it. That's our major, that's gonna basically take out for that part of it. And then once they get the pricing on chip and seal, then he'll let us kinda know the pricing so we can figure out how many roads we're gonna be doing for chip and seal. But
Okay.
the major project this year is gonna be Dickinson Road.
Okay.
And preliminary time was, they thought right around the 1st of July. So it kind of puts, with White Pigeon Days going on, sometimes they route traffic through there, so, they're trying to get a closer date, so hopefully it doesn't affect if they do the closing the downtown for the car show and that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else, or?
No, the rest is cemetery.
Okay. Alright. Alright, so old business. Item number one, we have, the office assistant description that in the back there, so if anybody's interested in it, we are gonna be doing the full-time hiring, probably at next month's meeting. If anybody is interested in, applying for that, the position, all the duties and everything for that is back there.
Part-time, permanent.
It's part-time but permanent, so it's, no more than 30 hours a week, and if we need to adjust hours on that, we will, but right now we're shooting for 30 hours or under. So,
Do you know what the salary will be?
It's an hourly wage.
it's, yeah,
Okay.
and it based, some of it's gonna be based upon
Based on their-
experience and knowledge of the computer, how much stuff they can do. Item number two, the mowing bids, we received, 3 bids for mowing the township offices, which is more than, I guess, I'm surprised there's a lot of people out there bidding on it. We,
Did we publish this?
it was out there, it was in, uptown and on, yeah.
We didn't put it in these.
It wasn't in the newspaper, we just did for public bid, yeah. So we had, one bid, custom lawn care came in at 95 per mowing. 7 Blades Lawn Service came in at $90 per mowing. And Cut Right Lawn Service came in at $100 per mow. So, Custom Lawn Care has done the mowing for years out here. He does have on his that, he does the startup and winterizing of the sprinkler system. So nobody else had that on there, he added that into his part of it. So, I mean, I would imagine that's gonna be $125 to $130 per open and close. So I mean, by the time you add that into it, I mean, his seems to be the best rate that we go, so I would make a motion that we just stay with Custom Lawn Care to mow the township offices.
A second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Opposed? So we'll go with Custom Lawn Care for mowing. One of the things that we did do is I put out for bids for the cemetery, just to see where we'd come at with the mowing service out there. We had invoices from $800 per mow per week. One was $9.95 and one was $16.50 from 3 local companies. We looked at what the cost of what we spend at the cemetery right now, and I said I did the majority of this stuff, but basically by our cost right now, without Vince's salary involved in it, we're averaging about $26,874 a year plus fuel, according to the budget that we have. Any of the businesses that come in would be right around $20,000 to $21,000 for the season. Vince, I mean, I'll ask you, what do you think, how much of your time and salary is in the mowing for being the
I
sexton?
don't mow at all, until leaf pickup.
Okay,
The crew does it.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned mowing, I didn't think you mentioned trimming.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, all of them have mowing and weeding around all the headstones.
Okay,
So,
I know you and I went over, some of these, and the lowest one, just under 20 grand.
yep,
I think that's in my opinion, it's a foot in the door price, because I'll be honest with you, we have 11 sections over there. One section, the biggest one is wood, the wood edition.
Mhm.
It takes two people 7 to 8 hours just to trim that one.
Mhm.
So I don't see how they're gonna do it for what you say they're gonna do it.
How many
Yep.
employees do you have?
4, and they're all retired, not counting myself. And they're all part-time.
so the salary, just so people know, the salary that we have budgeted for the workers up there to do the mowing and that is $14,000. Payroll taxes right about $1,400. Repairs and maintenance were just shy of $11,000 for the mowers for this past year. So, and we have, one of the things that we talked about is mower replacement. We're basically doing on a three-year cycle. So basically every year, we're gonna be buying a new mower at the cost of $12,000 per mower. And then they have,
That's incorrect, not every year. No, we just, the newest one. As we rotate them out, we have 4, not counting my leaf pickup machine, that's like 25 years old. We have 4 mowers. The oldest one we kept because it's a spare backup, because previously when we had one go down, I gotta go get mine from home. And we've used
so,
it.
okay, so you got three main mowers,
Yeah,
correct?
but every 4 year, well, every 3 years currently, we would buy another one.
So if you have 3 mowers, if you're replacing, this one here is the oldest one, you're replacing that.
Mhm.
Then the next year, this one becomes 3 years old, so you're
Yeah.
replacing that. Then this one becomes 3 years old, so you're
Right.
replacing the mower every year.
Well, it depends on where it falls. And I discussed with you, we can go to 4 years, is what it
Right,
used
right,
to
yeah.
be. Yeah.
So like I said, we're looking at options of what we're doing, so, and like I said, I'm gonna take in the public comment before we make a decision on this. We'll come back to that part of it. I know there's a few people on Facebook that was making a few comments and that, and like I said, we're here as a board, or we're open, and we wanna take public input on that. So I'm gonna table that part of it for a minute until after we go through our public comment. So old business, or so we're gonna hold off on the rest of that part for a minute. We'll jump into new business. We do have to set a date for our budget special meeting for the 25, 26 year. The other word, there's just 20, yeah. So, April 24th at 3 p.m. I'd like to get a motion to approve that date and time.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion, any reason? All in favor? Aye. That's carried. We did just receive, they found a copy of the master plan, and we are working, trying to get the updated version of it, with a few corrections that was made. That was brought to me about a week and a half ago. So I have been meeting with Mr. Hudson, talked with him, and he's gonna try to get an updated to find out what the price is. We'll look at what the options are, or our other option is going with the counties, their master plan that they have, which about, I think, 8 municipalities and a few villages use the county's master plan. The prices that Mr. Hudson gave me was close to $10,000. If we use the counties, they're saying about $3,800 to use the county's master plan. So like I said, we have to look and see if the county's master plan fits our projective, what we wanna do with our township. So, we're working on that, and that will be brought back up, once we get the final numbers on that. All right, so we will close old business and new business for a moment, and we will go into public comment. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and,
Kathy Bantrager Jones,
okay?
and I'm just thrilled with the way the cemetery is taken care of. I'm sort of emotional because my late husband is buried out there, but Vince and his crew just, it's more than just a difference of money, and I sort of agree with Vince as far as them just getting their foot in the door, because you can tell it takes a lot of time to do all the trimming that they do and everything, and the care that they take is personal to me.
Yep.
And I hope you keep Vincent's group. That's my.
And just to be clear, Vince is not going anywhere, so I mean, like I said,
Right.
if we had to do something, it would be the mowing part
But
of
it's the
it.
crew that does the mowing
Yes.
and the trimming and everything. And you can just, we've had so many people comment about how nice the White Pigeon Cemetery is. Just people from out of town that have come to Allen's grave and everything.
Yep.
It's not like any other town that they've been to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to Kathy.
Would you say your name, please?
Roger Jones, I'm Kathy's new husband.
Okay.
I'm a new member here, I've only been around Pigeon for 8 years. And I am just amazed at how beautiful that cemetery is. I'm from the Portage County area, so I've seen, my wife is buried in Portage. It's a nice cemetery, but it's not as well kept, and it's just so pristine here in Pigeon. It's almost soothing and comforting when you drive in here to sit by a loved one or something.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Daniel Carr. I try to stay out of township business. I get a lot of requests, hey, what do you think about this? I say, look, I'm not the township, I leave that to you guys. But this situation with the cemetery is personal to me.
Okay.
There's nobody in this room who has spent more time in, around, and viewing the cemetery than me. I grew up across the street from it. I still do.
Yep.
Okay? So, you know, as I can testify to the Joneses, Vince and his crew do a fantastic job. When I'm out doing stuff in my own yard, I get people from out of state who stop me, wave me down, to say, who is it that takes care of your cemetery? Because it looks fantastic compared to what we have. We have people from out of state who sit on the graves, and I can take you right to the place where he comes and he stays for 2 days and he sits at that grave. And when I've done my exercise and walking by, he stopped me and said, this is a fantastic place. I mean, I love, my family is here. I come back, it's always welcoming. We even have two Amazon drivers from South Bend who have made comments, say, you know, South Bend doesn't look anything like what you guys have. And how does South Bend take care of it? By bid. They don't have somebody like Vince and his crew. It's by lowest bidder. You get what you pay for, keep that in mind. But just the simple fact of taking care of the sticks, the branches, the leaves they have to do in the fall, Vince doesn't just pick it up once. It's a continual process. They keep that thing leaf-free all the time. Now, I'm not a fan of them starting their mowing at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm home. Granted. But other than that, there's no complaints. I've only talked to Vince 2 or 3 times the entire time that he's been in charge. Because I don't have to. I don't have to go out there and say, hey, why aren't you taking care of this? Hey, why is this not that? With funerals, they come out there, they do a fantastic job with the grave sites. They're out of the way, and they come afterwards. They're very respectful if anybody's out there. If somebody's at a grave site and they have to dig next to it, they wait. So does that take more time in payroll? Yes. But it's the right thing to do. And I do want to, do they need to buy John Deere's every time, the whole John Deere equipment? No. So if you want to save some money, that's the place to look at. And you can get 3 or 4 years of use on a lot of other brands that don't cost nearly as much. So please keep that in mind as well. And one last comment, if any of this, with looking at the cemetery or whatever, is personally or politically motivated, I would ask you to strongly look at yourself and say, is this really the right thing to do? Because I understand that out with the old, in with the new, you have the perfect right to take a look at everything in the budget. But do not make this personal, do not make this political. If there's anything that has to do with this family or what they do, how they serve the community, please refrain from that.
And I'll comment on that. There is nothing political or personal about this. I mean, I was brought in and voted, when people asked me about it, was to run typically like a business. And when you're talking, you know, a $20,000 deficit a year that we can save to use in other parts, that's a lot of money to take in consideration. So when it comes to it, I mean, I look at it as numbers as far as that. And I said again, the standards would have to be kept up according to, you know, whoever gets, if we do hire it out, I mean, so it is maintained, because if it's not, they won't get paid for it. So,
Like that, I just wanted to make sure that you
Oh,
were
yeah.
aware of somebody who has to look at it every day,
oh yeah,
and is out there every day and deals with it every day.
yep, thank you. Yes,
So how would you take care of that situation then, as far as if one, lawn service isn't doing it the right way, then what?
then we hire another lawn service, if that's the point we are.
Yeah,
Vince is still a sexton, Vince is still
Right.
running the cemetery as far as, you know, digging the graves, he's doing all the stuff there, the
Yeah.
tree pickup, that part of it. Basically, we're talking about people coming in mowing the grass.
right.
So,
Right.
and trimming
And
and,
I've seen, like lawn mowing services, how they mow. That-
some of them correct.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree with that. Like I said, that's why, I mean, anybody that we hire in, I mean, we get references from the people, all the people I've checked on. One of the gentlemen, he mows 2 of the cemeteries for, Middlebury and one over in Shipshawana. I called down there, they gave him high references for that. You know, like I said, they never had complaints about it, never had damage to headstones. Everything's always trimmed on time, it's mowed on time. You know, if they have something special going on there, they come in and get it done before, you know, the Memorial Day parades, if it needs to be, and, you know, whatever it takes to get it done. So, I mean, that's what we would have in our contract, that they must maintain the standards of what we're used to. So, anybody else? Yes.
So bear with me, because I'm not familiar with all the legal sides of all these things. So, the cemetery has their own budgets, right? Okay.
Yes. The township owns them. We have separate line items for
Okay.
the cemetery budget.
So, just another option for food for thought. Why can't we have the cemetery crew, because obviously people are happy with the job they do, why can't they come down here and do the mowing of this little bit we have here at the township, instead of contracting out for lawn care up here? If we're looking at it from a business perspective of where can we make adjustments to save the township, save the taxpayers money, is, you know, do you guys have a plow on the truck or anything for the cemetery? So again, with what is it, Lacey, we're paying the village to plow the parking lot.
Yeah, 9,000 a year.
So that would save 9,000. Get the
Right.
village out of this. Let Vince and his guys, if they got the truck out plowing, this would take nothing for them to whip this parking lot out.
Mhm.
Blend it. But if everybody's happy with his crew,
I agree. I
maybe,
think we're
and then,
missing something that's not
like the
broken.
gentleman suggested, instead of just having free roam of going out and making purchases of equipment, bring in bids. You know, maybe go with something cheaper than a John Deere. There might be different ways to blend all this in together where there can be a savings.
Yeah. One thing with the John Deere mowers, and Vince can testify, they do give us huge government discounts on the mowers. Those mowers, they're buying are probably,
They're about 14, 15,000. You can get them for about 11 or 12.
so they do, I mean, so they're, I mean, that's, there
Well,
is.
you guys
there-
would know best
right,
about
right.
that.
There
I'm
might be
just-
another, like
I'm just throwing the
Husqvarna
things
or.
out there.
the
Like you
Husqvarna
said,
or-
maybe go 4
More-
years instead
yeah.
of 3.
Yeah.
Just keep an open mind, different options,
Yep,
instead of putting, are these all local employees?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of putting locals out of jobs.
yep.
Can
Just a
you
suggestion.
get from there to here?
Yeah, we have a trailer.
Oh,
Yeah. And honestly, since we have storage in the new building, we could leave one here if need be. Could be the oldest one. So, you know, that's another option.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gray?
Sue Grant, and
You're great.
everybody said what I wanted to say, so.
Yep.
Kathy, you were in my mouth going like this, you know, because the cemetery is just a highlight of White Pigeon. It's just, I go up there and I don't even, it's so lovely, I don't even feel sad. I feel happy that I can visit my family there, and it's just wonderful. I'd hate to see anything change.
Okay, appreciate it. And
Serena Wolf. One thing to keep in mind, I work for another township,
Okay,
okay? And just to keep in mind is that right now, you have a lot of control. And not to say that somebody that you're hiring in, but when they have cemeteries in different areas, and they've been working there for a long time, yes, I can say they're probably doing a fantastic job, but there's going to be a slight loyalty issue. And that's just to keep in mind that when you go outside, there is going to come a time that push comes to shove, and how's that gonna all work out. And I have, of course, family members here at the cemetery, and it has always meant a lot to me and how it's kept up. And I agree being creative about where the funds are coming and how we can shift things around, or some other creative avenues at least to look into with Vince and his crew, because you are also employing people here in the community, which is so important these days.
right.
So that's all I
Thank you.
have to say.
Anybody else?
I was gonna get
Oh,
cremated, but I'm kinda thinking about getting buried there now.
Just not soon.
Not soon.
Vicki?
Yeah, for those that don't know, the cemetery is near and dear to my heart, because my dad took care of it for 45 years.
Who
And
is your dad?
Jim Cole.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
there's a bench up by the flagpole in memory of
He
him.
was good
And
friends with
so,
my parents.
you know, and he took care of the one lot bill, and his dad took care of the one lot bill, so it's been sort of it's something that we just, you know, to take care of the graves of those that go before us is an honor to be able to do that for people, and I think people appreciate that. And, I mean, my husband works nights, and there's so many nights in the summer, there's things going on at the cemetery that shouldn't be. I jump in my truck, I drive through, and I shag people out of there all the time. There's fireworks going on, there's drinking going on, there's who knows what else is going on over there, but it's like, I always keep an eye out over there, you know, it's just something we do. I've gone over and snowblowed over a grave that he had dug the night before, and he had a blizzard, and he was at work, and they were bringing vaults and couldn't get in, and I've got my blower over there clearing, and I don't get paid for any of that stuff. I mean, it's just, we have a storm, I'm in my truck, first thing Braden and I do is we drive to the cemetery, drag sticks out of the road, and we had the big storm, we set up cones where there were trees down across the road. That's just stuff that I do that I don't get paid for, but I do it for him. And so there's, like I said, the cemetery is just, it's a near and dear thing to me, so. And when Jim got sick, he decided that Vince needed to know how to dig a grave, and Vince goes, no, I don't want to do it. And so.
Still don't wanna do it, it's gonna be.
So he taught him how to dig a grave, you know, and then it just, and that's kind of, so it's kind of been a family thing in my, you know, 80 years, you know, and so it's near and dear to me, and these guys, I don't know, you know, when they trim them, and like you said, that one section takes, you know, 8-9 hours, 2 people, but they actually pull the flowers, lift them, trim, and put those back in the ground. A lawn care service will not do that. I don't care how good they are. They're gonna mow as close as they can, and that's gonna be it. But they actually take their time and do that when they're trimming, and they.
Who are these 4 employees that do this work?
Jim Payon,
Payon,
Susie, Rick Steiner, and Kevin Wright, all retired.
So, yeah,
It's very difficult to find
somebody wants to
people who
trim.
wanna do that stuff, because when there's a job opening, first thing says, well, I can mow. I
Yeah.
don't need
Everybody
really
wants to
mowers,
mow.
I need trimmers, you know, so.
Because it's time consuming. That is a big, if you ever just walk through that cemetery, you know, driving through, you really get the perspective of it. You walk through that cemetery, is how big it is, and the trimming that needs done. And so, but I've been mowing over there for years. When I helped my dad mow years ago, and got stuck on the payroll. And I will fill in over there when one of these guys go on vacation or something. I'll go jump a mower and I start mowing. So, you know, that's what I do. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
I'm not cemetery, so if
Okay.
there are any other cemetery comments?
Right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay, I'll be brief. Just for the record, a good portion of my time is spent over there trimming. When I'm not doing, digging graves or other things that are manual, it's mostly trimming. So keep that in mind with the budget. My concern with the lawn care company, and you know, it's a business, I get that, kudos to them. I'm not trying to degrade anybody here. It's a business. My crew and myself, we give it to personal care. And I think that's what taxpayers have grown to come accustomed to. So you take that away, that falls on you guys. And my main worry is it's taken 12 years to build that up to where it's at with equipment, good crew, just like it took 25 years to get the fire department where it's at. So if you give it to a lawn crew company, you've mentioned yourself, will possibly sell lawnmowers, we need them. Let's say the next board comes in and says, okay, we want to bring that back in-house. You gotta buy all the equipment again. So you're starting over again, and it's you guys, it's your fiscal responsibility to watch out for our taxpayers' money. I respect that, and by God, you should be doing that. But let's look at where we're at. You're approaching 1.5 million in your bank account. You've got a millage now for the roads, thanks to the previous board, and the taxpayers, a millage for fire service and ambulance service, thanks to the taxpayers. You've got 4 special assessment projects that the previous board funded, completed, paid for. They're all coming back to you right now too, as far as money goes. So I guess my opinion is we're not hurting your budget, your annual expenses per year, $600,000-700,000. The previous board ran on that and less than that at times to keep things going and get things progressing to where they're at. With what you might save with the lawn care service, don't substitute a few $1,000s for good service that we provide. You know, I'm not trying to toot our own horns, but it's like, it's personal to me because of the family that's been involved with it, the crew I have, a great crew, and every one of these guys would drop what they're doing if there was a storm and we had to go pick up branches and move them out of the road, and the fire department would help. So it's a community thing. In White Pigeon, there's not a lot of aesthetic, pretty things in here. You've got the Township Hall, you've got a great fire department, you got a beautiful library, and you got our cemetery. Thankfully, some of the old buildings in town are getting facelifts and whatnot, but there's not a lot to attract people here. So don't take away something that is aesthetically pleasing to the general public for a few $1,000s.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, 2,000, we're talking close to 20,000.
Well, keep in mind, you didn't
Yeah.
consider.
That's not even,
my
your wages.
Yeah,
So
going
that's,
into trimming.
so if we put that on top of
Yeah.
that, so then that puts it up even higher. That puts us into, like you said, the majority of yours, so if that would be, let's say half of your salary would be $31,000, then, you know, now it changes that, $32,000 difference.
You figure it the way you want.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is.
I just do
you
numbers, I
guys,
mean, yep.
This community does not, we're not desperate, we don't need the money. And if you wanna sacrifice, what people have grown to expect to save some money, it's on you guys, and that's your call, you have that authority.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get blowback on it, I guarantee you.
Yep, so our cemetery budget, just so people know, to maintain the cemetery up there, is $118,000 a year.
It usually runs about 55, 60.
Uh,
We've increased
That's what
it
we budget.
because
We,
of.
that's what we budget.
Yeah.
Usually under budget, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Usually,
So-
now, and also keep in mind, the quote you got once a week, the lowest one you had was once a week for 24 mowings. That's, let's say it's today, April through September,
Yep,
okay? We are still mowing October and November and then picking up leaves. So if you want them to continue, that's more money it's gonna cost.
right, and then there's
And then
possibly,
you and I both know in that quote, it said leaf pickups extra.
yes.
So I just can't fathom with 25 acres up
No, that's
there,
fine, like I
how they
said,
can do that and be expected to be out there in like 2 days.
yeah,
It's not gonna happen, I'm telling you that. I know how long it takes me and my crew to take care of what we have to take care of. And there's certain areas in that cemetery, especially the fields, when we have a good bit of moisture and whatnot, if you're not mowing them every 3-4 days, you got a hay field out there.
yeah.
And if you don't mind grass clumping, looking like crap, like I said, it's a reflection on the township. So keep that in mind when you make your decision.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just would like to go back, Bob Batch, I'm sorry. I'd like to go back to comment the lady in the first row made. If we can consolidate some of this with the lawn mowing here and snow removal here, man, I think you're looking at some potential huge savings that would offset any increases we're looking at with the quality of care we're getting with the cemetery. I think you should bundle that whole thing together. That just makes nothing but sense.
Yep. Thank you. Anybody else with cemetery? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike Jurek, I think that trying to look in a business point of view of dollars and cents, okay? I know you have to be mindful of it, but you're getting more than just dollars and cents out of your people. Your people are putting their heart in what they're doing. And I don't have anybody in this cemetery, but if I would need, this is where I would like to be.
Good.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Anybody else with cemetery issue stuff? All right, we got a lady back from the Michigan State. We're gonna go through that and we'll jump back in and let her.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Ritchie. I'm with MSU Extension in St. Joseph County, and I'm a field crops educator, which basically means that I provide non-biased research, education, and support for farmers, especially corn, soybeans, wheat, potatoes, forages. So I just wanted to introduce myself. A lot of people aren't aware that we're a resource. There's a website. There are lots of people here to help you. And then I'm also here to help you. So I do a lot of one-on-one consultations, come out to your fields. If you have any problems, if you just don't have time to go check on something and you need someone to do that, I'm happy to help. So just wanted to make myself known and leave this, if this is okay, by the door. This has my contact information, and then it also has for, like, if you're looking at growing fruit or vegetables in the county, the people that you want to contact for that. So, does anyone have any questions for me? Yeah.
How many counties do you cover?
I cover 7 counties.
Okay.
My office is based in St. Joseph, and St. Joseph is my priority, but I do cover all of Southwest Michigan. Yeah.
How long have you been there?
I just started last year, so I've just passed a year.
You're a rookie. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? And we will close that section of public comment. All right, so back to the cemetery part. On the old business, I will ask the board if we want to take in consideration removing the bid for the mowing of the offices and having the cemetery crew do the mowing and the snow plowing for the township up here, for our offices up here.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Is there, Vince, I know you work, is there anybody on your crew you would trust plowing other than yourself?
There's one individual. I'm not sure if he'd be willing to do it or not, but if not, I'd find somebody.
Right, I mean, I feel like it'd be a huge cost saving for the township to do away with the plowing contract. We already have a plow.
It would offset about half of the budget from the mowing part of it. And so,
And if they're willing to mow down here, then I don't see why we never doing that.
Yeah, well, my crew and myself are willing to do what it takes to keep our jobs. And it's not, I know I'm speaking out of turn again.
no, you're fine, you're fine.
Okay.
That's what this is about, Vince. I mean,
No.
I want to be transparent and
Okay.
open, and like I said, we're talking, like I said, I mean, that's why I asked you, you know, like I said,
Yeah.
that's why we want to see this part of
Okay.
it.
Well, none of my crew needs money. They do it for something to do. Jim's 90, 94? 93. You know? It's like, he does it, it gives him purpose.
Yep.
Okay? And they're all dedicated to it. So
Yep.
it's like, it's just a service we provide to this community, and it's not self-sufficient, as is the fire department. It's not self-sufficient. So you can't sell enough grades, you can't do enough grade openings to pay for that. But it's a service we provide to our citizens, and I
Yep.
think it should be kept that way. Perpetual care, once you buy a lot and we put one of your loved ones there, that care is forever.
Yep,
So that needs to be maintained.
yep, I agree with that. So do we want to hold this and get the numbers back onto there, and then, or just,
let me make sure I'm on the same page here. So we're looking at continuing with them doing the cemetery and adding, then picking up the plowing and mowing here, and then what exactly would the cost? Getting rid of the cost that's happening here and just have them do here and keep the cost with the contract, what they're paying now, what we're paying now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they would,
Am I-
there would
for
be.
hourly rates.
Yeah, basically it'd be the hourly rate because we already own the mowers, we own the truck. So it'd be, I believe like, when I had talked to Custom Lawn Care about this, they said that 2 mowers, it takes them about 35 minutes to mow and weed eat this up here. So I mean, if you had one person, even let's say you take a little longer, 3 hours, I mean, basically the wages are, I don't remember what are their hourly?
$1 an hour?
$20, and this gentleman, since he's senior, gets 21.
So we would be dropping.
He's our longest running employee, that's why.
We'd be dropping from basically $95 a mow to right about $60 a mow or a little bit less to do that.
Who does the plowing presently?
The village was doing it out here.
Oh,
The
that's right,
village is
okay,
contracted
yeah.
here in uptown.
Okay.
When does
Yes,
that expire?
it is up right now. We have to decide whether we want to renew the contract with the village or look at another alternative.
Okay.
Yes, Ken?
Is there somebody separately that mows down at the sewer plant?
They do that. They're their own
Okay.
entity. They take care of all their own stuff.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Yeah, I just think we're trying to fix something that's not really broken. We got all new equipment down there. If we needed 4 new mowers and a new truck, that would make sense to outsource it, cause that's a huge expense, but I think we
yep.
go back to our custom lawn care and resend that.
Resend it, okay?
We don't make, right? Vince, you're saying you can do it?
Well, because I work nights and it snows a lot at night,
I mean, if there's an
Yeah.
emergency thing, like even this year, like this past winter, Kobe was by himself. I came down and I plowed this, I think 3 times myself. I don't bill the village or the township.
Right.
Just to do it because it's the right thing to do being in a small town. I've got the equipment to do it, I can come in and do it, salt it and stuff like
And-
that, but I mean,
that was the previous board's intentions too, was to want to plow for that. If we needed it down here, emergency stuff, or we got a huge snowstorm, they needed an extra plow, we got it.
right,
So that was the whole
I would
idea
say-
behind the purchase.
Jeff asked a question about the lawnmower.
yeah.
How many hours are on these when we're trading them in every 3 years or whatever?
There's quite a few hours on them, and honestly, most trade-ins go about $2,400 to $2,800. That's all we get for them.
But, you know, like just ballpark hours, I mean,
I couldn't tell you ballpark, because it varies. It varies.
No, Vince, do we have to trade those in?
No. In fact, the last one I didn't trade in, I kept because I wanted to spare,
Okay.
because I was tired of getting mine.
I mean, just roughly off the top of your guys' heads, would there be more value in selling them, putting them up for sale privately?
We could, yeah, we could.
And make more money?
I don't know if we.
I mean, if they're anything like cars.
Yeah, we
That's what
could
people-
put them up for bid. I mean, that's always an option. That's township's decision.
You don't trade them in, do you?
Yeah, when we get a new one and they come in, they appraise it and offers it, then we trade it in, so.
some of them have been sold outright for just a little bit above,
Yeah,
what the trade-in value was.
yeah.
So. All right, so if we, like I said, rescind the custom lawn cares, the cemetery crew would take over mowing and, snow plowing, at township offices. And then everything would stay the same out there for them. We need a motion to carry that out.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Do a roll call on this?
Yes, Sheila? Yes. Anita?
No.
Jason?
I'll say yes.
Ames? Myself, yes.
We still got jobs, guys. Thank you.
I expect everybody here next month too.
Yeah.
We'll see what we do.
All right, so that concludes our portion of old business and new business. Any other correspondence, we already did correspondence on public input. Our zoning officers report. Zoning officers, March, where's April?
Activity in March.
What's that?
You said activity for the month of March 2025.
Did I have the right one? I did have the right one. I was looking for it, okay. So for March, sorry about that. Forgetting what day it is, a 15-day letter was sent to the property on St. Joseph Street. They got a 30-day extension, they're working on it. They had until 3/20, the property was inspected. Cleanup was making progress. They're doing everything that they were supposed to do, so might close the case on that. The only other thing we had on for zoning, the Keenan property that is out on Grass Lake, is an ongoing issue. Everything on that has been turned over to the lawyers, to proceed with court process on that, to deal with, what the next step's gonna be for whatever the lawyers and the court tell us we need to do to try to get that resolved and cleaned up and get those people off there and out of living in tents. Supervisors report, planning commission, there was no new business as of yet. April 7th, 2025 is our next meeting for the planning commission. Our board of review that we had, there was approximately 22 people that came in for questions on their property taxes. Most people did not understand the difference between assessed value, actual taxable value, and when they went through, the majority of the people were all happy. We did have a couple clerical errors that they took care of, and we had 2 people for poverty requests to have their taxes suspended for that season. Fire board, there's no new business on that. Our next meeting is 4/15 this month here coming up, so that'll be on next month for a fire board meeting. Our sewer board, they did apply for the grants for the solar system out there, and I did see an email today. It's what is it, the 21st? They're supposed to make a decision. 21st and 28th, the state will go through and see who gets the grants for the solar panels out there. We did apply for a $100,000 grant, so we applied for the full amount because the system that they were looking at doing out there was like $218,000. That's supposed to be enough to basically run the majority of the plant out there when it's in full sun. So once we get more information about that, we will pass that on. Cemetery report, Vince, did you have yours?
Yeah, I got it ready.
Okay.
Before I get in, I got 3 questions for you guys, cause well, first thing, if you guys wanna do it again, and we've always done it, I need 550 of these. I brought one so you could see the dimension, I think it's 5/16. These go in the military markers for Memorial Day.
Okay.
The township has always ordered them. Also need a new 5x8 flag for the flagpole, we put a new one up every year. One thing we discussed, we met over a month ago, if we're gonna be doing the plowing and, of the township here and whatnot, I inquired how you wanna handle that with gas for the truck, because I'm not gonna put it out of my pocket every time I fill that truck up. Right now, that's what we're doing.
That's right, I mean, we have fuel
Yeah.
cards. Do they don't have fuel cards for that? Well, we'll figure we'll get something for that.
Yeah, cause we discussed it a month ago and I've not heard anything back, so.
How, like your fuel and stuff for the mowers and all that, where does that come from?
That comes from It used to be, I can't remember the name, they changed it, Series Solution is who it is now.
You got a fuel tank back there?
We got a fuel tank
Okay.
back there, it's a small one, but it, you know, we fill that usually twice. If we have a lot of mowing through the year, sometimes 3 times, and then I have a 55-gallon drum for diesel, and it's
Okay.
used for the backhoes.
Okay,
So, and that we have an account with them, so we just have them fill it as needed, and it's stored inside,
okay.
so it's not out in the elements.
That dump truck is diesel, correct?
Pardon?
The dump truck is diesel?
Yes.
Okay, so you got diesel and,
Diesel,
the
dash
ducting
diesel, the backhoe's diesel, and the mini excavator diesel, everything else is just regular gasoline.
Okay. So
Okay.
we can find to get a fuel card we'll try to get one
Yeah.
for one of them
That's fine.
that somebody has diesel fuel, either Shell or Speedway,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we'll work on that.
One concern I have is, and I'm tired of kind of beating this with a dead horse here. I've had 8 graves since you guys have taken over. 4 of them have been in the wrong spot. 3 of them I've managed to save because of my experience over there and knowing some of the families and where the headstones are at. But the last one we had resulted in exhuming of a body, which cost the taxpayers $1,500. Are you guys getting a grip on locations better? Because right now we're shooting 50-50.
We're going through the files, trying to straighten them out. The old files that were left here, are showing nobody is in the graves. And when we go out there and you probe them, and you say that there is somebody in there, we're updating the files, we're printed out 5,800 property deeds. Some of them are duplicates, some of them have the wrong graves on them, so we're trying to match up all the deeds to the maps that are there. We're gonna work, once we get the deeds all separated, and marked out, like the other day, you had one and there was 4 deeds for the same person, for the same lots that are on there, and there's nothing marked on the maps that show that there's anybody buried in those lots.
Okay. Well, you
So-
can't, I would stay away from those maps. Those maps are just a guide.
Yep.
You know, because they've not been updated, except for the newer ones, I can't remember the company that did the excavating, not excavating, when they plowed off the graves.
Yep.
What happened to the computer program that had all that stuff in it? Because I could call down here and say, I need to know who's in grave XYZ, if it's available or not, and I don't know
So-
what happened to that.
So the computer program's in there, but that's what I'm trying to tell you
The
is,
computer program was set up for these people to fail.
Everything was a mess.
Things were deleted, things were, I mean, a few little notes could have been really helpful to not have the situation happen that
Okay.
happened. I'm an old board member, so
Yeah.
in defense to these people, the mistake was not, like, it was,
Yeah, I'm
they were
not
set up for
blaming
that.
anybody, but I'm just at a 50%
no, like I
correction.
said, we're
it's
working,
like-
like I said,
It's a mess.
the one that was in the mist that we had to move that cost
Yeah.
her. I mean, I'm in charge here, so I take, you know, responsibility for that.
And let's
And like I said,
properly.
and, you know, like I said, we went through there, and like I said, when there's no deed for that property, there's nothing on the map for it, and then all of a sudden, somebody shows up and said, hey, you buried somebody in there, and he has a copy of a deed, and it's not, I mean, we had our IT person go through everything on that computer, and those deeds are not in the computer.
Okay, is this
So-
the same IT person that?
The same IT person that was there. And he said he's even told us that, you know, that whole system is a mess, and then we should look at, you know, possibly getting an updated system, but they want 50 grand to come map that cemetery out. But if we can do the majority of the legwork, have everything sorted in all the deeds that we have, kind of get an idea, they can put a system together for around 20 grand.
Okay, well, I like where you guys are
So-
going with that, so that anybody
Yes.
can log on to that and find out where
Absolutely.
a distant relative is buried and whatnot,
I
so
mean-
that's a good idea.
The amount of times, like I said, that with the people that I've made trips up there, trying to find a location for people, you know, looking, and I'm like, you know, Bobby's back here, we're looking on the computer. I call up, I'm like, Bobby, there's somebody buried, and she's like, no, it says it's empty. I'm like,
I know.
there, I mean, you can see where there's, you know, so we're, like, so we're doing everything we can to work on that. I mean, without,
Okay.
you know, going and blowing 50 grand, have somebody come in and map the whole thing. Like I said, they have to probe the ground and everything for all of them, and then try to find out. And just because there's a name, I mean, if there was an urn, if the people didn't have the headstone updated, now how do you find out who's in the urn that's buried behind it?
I know, we've been there.
So, like I said, we're doing the best part of it, and like I said, that's one of the things that, you know, I mean, any other cemetery, like I said, we've talked to multiple places, the sexton usually does all that paperwork. And like I said, it was pushed, I mean, whether Jean, however it was done, you know, she was doing the majority of it.
Yeah, she
You were,
did.
you know, so like I said, you know, we're in the blind just like anybody else trying to come in and, you know, she probably knew some tricks to do some of it, but like I said, it wasn't passed on, so
Okay.
we're doing what we can to make this thing right and take care of it.
Well, you know why it was brought in-house, don't you? Because previous boards, before it was computerized, you'd have 3 or 4 people selling graves. So
Yep.
maybe person A sold one, jotted it down on a note, forgot to turn it in.
Yep.
Person C sold the same grave, so that's
Yep.
why it all stayed in-house and
Right.
didn't go outside.
And which, like I said, if the program would have been done
Yeah,
correctly or some way, like I said, trying to find names in there, you put somebody's name in and you can't bring up just the person's name. It brings up anything, any word that's in that program that has the same amount of letters in it, it brings up. So you're looking through 200 to 300 pages to try to find those graves.
okay.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm not making excuses. Like I said,
No,
we're
I
doing the
agree,
best
yeah.
we can to make it so
I'm just-
we don't have this issue and the next people that
Yeah.
carry on.
I usually
Yep.
probe the ground before I dig anyway,
Yep,
but
yep.
I'm concerned if we can't get a handle on it by winter. You can't probe the ground in winter.
Right?
And the last thing I wanna do is clunk, uh-oh.
Yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know, don't want that, so.
Yep.
Alright, I'll finish the rest I have. What we did up there, what I did up there, the crew's not back yet. Removed all the snow stakes, all the mowers are back in house and ready for production. Fixed all the winter graves, put topsoil down and seeded them. Removed 2 loads of branches and piled up a bunch more. We're expecting some more storms in tomorrow, so I'm sure there'll be more sticks to pick up. Picked up the stacked concrete blocks which were given to us. We use those to straighten headstones whenever we can. Had 3 burials, so that was for last month.
Thank you. Ambulance report. Oh, I'm sorry.
You said something about the $9,000 budget for the,
The snow plowing contract
Okay.
and snow, yeah.
okay, is that gonna be addressed tonight then to, because you said you had to make a decision about that?
We just have to send a letter to them that we're not renewing the contract.
And then the second question, with what Lacey said, did somebody delete files as far as you keeping track of the cemetery and the occupants, the families that are there?
I
I
am
mean,
not
what
sure
was that
how,
statement?
like I said, we have certain, like, when we go into a certain files, our IT guy told us, use these files here. Don't go into this other one because that can change things around. So we're going through doing that. I think a lot of it, they were things that were, like Vince said, it was wrote down, they probably sold it, it was never entered in a computer, or like the one that the guy has, it's the same person, has the same 4 lots, and he has 3 deeds to 4 lots, and it's, everyone lists all of them on there. So I don't know if it was something that was duplicated, or if a change was made and it got saved as this guy's name and it duplicated them, so like I said, we're trying to go through and clean all of them out. But when I think there's 6,800 deeds, and some of the, I mean, there's probably, how many in like those old sections of the cemetery that are not even in those?
Tons of them. And that's why we quit selling them there, because we don't know if there's anybody there or not. And there's not vaults, there's wood coffins. So you can't, you probe the ground, you're not gonna find anything.
So in, 6,800, probably ballpark would say 8,000 to 10,000 people are.
Yeah, about that.
And you guys, I
It was
mean,
just- yeah, it
they
was-
can't tell you, I mean, like I said, we look at the headstones, but if somebody didn't have the money to update it, or if it was the last person that passed away, that the headstones weren't updated, he goes up and probes, because if there's somebody side by side to try to find them, but you don't know who's in there.
And I think the first records we had go all the way back to 1832. We don't know what happened before that. The records are not
Well, there's
existing.
multiple records too, and I think
Yep.
Jean worked with it so long, she knew to cross-reference all of these
Yeah.
records. Well, they didn't know that, so.
So that's what you're referring to, is that they were setting them up to fail with that?
Yeah, I mean, a few notes
Because
could have been
she
helpful.
didn't explain her method of keeping track.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like I said, so right now, we're trying to put one database together, so anybody after this, they can come in, it's all in one thing to make it user-friendly to whoever comes in.
I just wanted to get clarification,
Yep.
because that open-ended statement without clarification could upset some families. 'Cause I
Yep.
know it would have upsetted me
Yep.
if I knew that out of retaliation, somebody didn't somebody set somebody up to fail, you know, type of thing.
There were some old ledgers that used to be at the cemetery, and I thought they were brought here.
We found a couple
They were all
of them.
handwritten.
Yes,
ledgers
yep, so we're.
From the old section.
Yes, so we had to, once we get all the new ones printed off, we gotta go through, once we start doing the maps, and we'll go through each one individually and look on the map, those things, and see if there's duplicate names being buried in the same thing. It's gonna be, I mean, even for us to do it in-house, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of hours to go through there, and then somebody has to physically go up and walk the cemetery and match the maps up and see, so I mean, it's not, you know, a 1 or 2 day job. I mean, it's gonna be.
It'll take some time.
Yeah.
Well, my dad showed them to me when I would mow over there years ago, and he'd say, if anybody was out, come over here looking for a grave, and you can look them up in here. So,
Yeah.
So it's like, well, they were kind of interesting to look through, because they were really old, but
Yep.
I assumed they must have ended up here somewhere, so.
There's a couple old other ones that are in there, but yeah, there's not, I mean, not a lot for the many people that's up there, there's not a lot of them. So, all right, ambulance report, Amy, is nothing this coming up, the next one is the 20th of May?
Yeah.
So our
Right,
next,
Dan,
Excuse me?
ambulance meeting, May 20th?
Yes.
Now, when do we vote on that?
That was already done in the last meeting.
Oh, see, I missed it. You went.
there was no voting on the last meeting?
Well, Steve asked if everybody was approved of the numbers that he provided to us, and everybody went nodded. So we don't vote, Amy and I are not voting, we're just there, we're
Okay.
representatives. Just the people who are on that board do the voting.
Okay.
So they already did all that and have it turned in.
All right,
We don't voice an opinion otherwise.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report.
Well, as of March 1st, all delinquent taxes have been turned over to St. Joseph County Treasurer for collection. I want to tell you, there are thousands of unpaid tax bills between the township and the village. And we're talking over $800,000 that has not been collected, and that will directly impact, you know, the disbursements that are made to the schools, the library, and such. So currently I'm preparing closeout documents for the 2024 tax collection. Working with the county treasurer to make sure we balance, because we split tax collection in two between the summer and the former treasurer, and the winter and the new treasurer. And the former treasurer quit doing any tax collection and closed out on November the 7th, even though the term was not up until the 20th of November. So there were checks and left on a binder that I happened to stumble upon that needed to be put into the BSNA database to bring it up. So now there's a disconnect with balancing on that. So, and while we're talking about disbursements, between December 1st and the last day for tax collection, February 28th, 2025, for winter taxes, I have dispersed to White Pigeon schools for school ops and the seeking fund $3,042,000. For the White Pigeon Township Library, $240,000. For Glen Oaks Community College, $688,000. And then we have one other summer for county operating. That's just a little over $22,000, and that's just a few of the probably 15 that I disperse. But that's all I have right now. Some of the other ones are local special assessment districts, or the EMS special assessment that we collect for. There's some private special assessment district like Grass Lake Weed Control, Oak Street Paving, and streetlights and those different types of things that, so I just wrote down just a few of them, and I don't have figures right now to see how much we have not collected that will still need to be dispersed. And that will all be done by the St. Joseph County Treasurer. When they collect the penalties and they do the disbursements. So that's all I have.
Anita, what is you said over $800,000 in delinquent taxes. Is that just current? How far back do those taxes go that are delinquent?
2024.
Okay.
January 1st until December 31st of 2024, even though we just finished collecting at the end of February.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? You said thousands. I'm guessing it's hundreds of people owing a total of $800K.
Yes.
I might have heard it
There are
incorrectly.
many parcels.
No, I understand, but you said there were thousands of people that hadn't paid, and it was 800,000.
Parcels. Well, thousands of parcels that have not been paid for.
It's probably hundreds of people, because like
Yeah,
the farmers, they're.
No, I understand. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand the magnitude of the problem as compared to,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Is there a total number of parcels, so that's 20,000, if there's 1,000 out, or is it?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a gauge for where you're at. I know, numbers get big,
Yep.
but if you're 800K short and you collected, pick the number, 10 million, then you're 8% short.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, and when the county collects these back taxes, then at the end of a month, they will let me know who they collected from and what portion of that money is ours. I don't know any of that right now. All I know is when I ran the history reports, there was almost $300,000 short from White Pigeon Village in collections and over $800,000 short from the unincorporated township. So that's over $1 million.
No, I
And I'm
understand
not
that.
sure where it is because I don't have last year.
I was gonna say, we don't know
Right.
whether last year it was $1.2 million we were short.
Right.
And it
Last
could
year
be.
was 600K. We don't
It
know.
could be.
Okay,
But we base our budgets on collecting and dispersing based on a certain amount, and we're not meeting that amount this year. And I'll have more, maybe information next board meeting that I can show you, or tell you how it closed out.
Thank you.
When people finally pay their delinquent taxes, how long does it take the county to get that back to you? Any idea?
I do not know,
Okay.
but I will ask,
I'm just curious.
yeah.
I don't know if they did it like quarterly or,
Well, they'll notify me every month,
okay.
but they don't notify individually. They wait until they get,
If the village,
How
they
they-
do send a check and a report with it monthly, but I told her I'm not sure if that's how it is here, I really
Yeah.
don't know,
Okay.
but.
Thank you.
All right, Lacey, your clerk's report.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah, it was in the, I guess, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was just updating, we do have a school election and ballots are in the mail. You can request a ballot here by an application. We are the voting site for the other jurisdictions for the school. So Constantine, Sherman, Florence, Montville will all vote here.
Why Constantine?
There's only a few. There's like
Does it have White Pigeon
4
School
houses or
District?
something
Okay.
in the school district,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'll be here May 4th from 7 to 3 for early voting, but there's no early voting in Centerville for a school election. And the public accuracy test, I think you wanted to know. Somebody asked me last meeting. We changed it from the 10th to the 17th, so it's the 17th at 10 o'clock. That's it.
Do you know how much it costs to put something on the ballot?
I mean, it depends. The school would have to, like, the school has to front the money for the election. So to put something on a ballot? Does that
So
mean-
let's just say we wanted marijuana in the township. I'm just throwing this out there like the village is. And you guys wanted it to go on the ballot.
how much roughly would that cost to put on the ballot?
There's already an election, and
Yeah.
it does not cost money.
Okay,
So hosting a special election is when the person that's having it, like the school, has to pay for it.
okay.
And if like they wanted to put something like that on this because it's a special election, they would have to pay.
So
certain
let's
amount.
say you guys wanted to put that on, like, I would say the next one's in August, isn't it, or November? Put something on that ballot, it wouldn't cost anything because there's already a ballot coming out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
If there's already an election
If
and
it's a
it
regular
meets the
election.
Okay.
criteria for that election, it does not cost. You just have to have your paperwork turned in properly.
Would
and
that
on
go,
time.
paperwork go to you, or would that go to the county?
So probably first me, and then I would report it to
Okay.
the county.
Okay.
But it's up for renewal, and to do our budget in July, it would be nice to know if it passes.
Yeah, that's just.
It's a renewal on secondary homes, Dave.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I was just throwing something out there.
All right,
Sorry,
our
Sue, Sue had a
office.
question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
What
Susie.
was on the 17th, was that April 17th?
The public accuracy test,
For the voting.
17th at 10 o'clock.
Okay, that's what I thought.
All right, our office assistant report, basic, answering phones, burn permits. There was 28 burn permits issued last month and 25 dump passes issued last month. So, we do encourage, if you have some debris that need to get rid of, I mean, stop up here and get a dump pass. They do, it's a yard and a half, it's basically a pickup truck load that you can take up to the Three Rivers landfill for free. You do need a dump pass. There's one issue per property, address, and that's it on that.
Did that get changed to only the person on the deed being able to pick up the dump pass, or let's say you're renting, is that renter allowed to do it? Because I know my neighbor across the street asked me that question, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Good question.
I used to hear, Jean, if they had the right address, that she usually would give them one. I mean, the whole point is to keep trash
Yeah.
out of our.
I was just
towns.
thinking if the renter got one and then the homeowner came in and was like, hey, I want the dump pass for this property. And
Usually, like on any of the property stuff there, it has the people's names on it. So, I mean, that's how we've always been issuing
Okay.
them. So, and I guess if they brought something in from the owner, that the owner was known, if they wanted to clean stuff up, I mean, if I was a renter or a landlord and I had a renter that had a bunch of trash, I might go get it and say, here, take your stuff to the landfill, but that's just me. All right, additional board comments, Sheila.
Yes, I do have something. Bear with me. As an elected trustee, I have been and will continue to be grateful serving in our community to the best of my ability. My position as a public servant, there come several duties. Working with Jason and Lacey and Anita and Amy. I have fiduciary responsibilities, manage our township affairs for the public's best interests. Attending meetings, making decisions, and looking into important issues before voting. And also appointing new folks to fill vacant positions if and when they occur. There has been some confusion and opinions on my involvement attending other meetings. So I'm going to speak to this situation. When I am serving, or when I am not serving as a trustee, I am in my private. I am still one of the people and will stand supporting issues that affect our community. Mama's House Ministry is close to my heart, as one of my stepdaughters had her child there a few years ago. Folks can have their opinions, however, let's not confuse feelings with facts. I hope we can look to support one another, putting our differences aside. And as a follower of Jesus Christ, I am to love my neighbor as myself. And this is not always easy, but with my daily prayer, God has given me this ability, and I pray this for our community members and our world, for that matter. So I want to continue to thank you all for allowing me to serve. Thanks.
Amy? Nita? Lacey? I will address one thing, about our community. attending other public meetings. Mr. Carr, I'll use you, is he still back here? Or he took off?
he took off.
He took off. I will use him as an example. He did come in and he asked questions. He did not insinuate, he did not accuse, he asked questions and found facts out before making judgment on another community's board members. Again, as like us here, we want to be very transparent. We ask people to come in. Vince, you got posts, you brought a great bunch of people in. We appreciate you people coming in. We appreciate community input and support on things that we do. And the same thing, there was nobody accusing anybody of wrongdoing tonight. Everything was held very professional. And I would ask that any of our community members, board members, that attend other places, use that as a guideline to follow. If you talk to the board members and find out where the issues and where the stuff are, a lot of people did that tonight. They asked us questions, we addressed it, we worked on it, we solved problems. So when we brought all the facts out to the table, we came to reasonable answers and explanations of what we did, why we did it, and how we can move forward and make our community a better place. So again, like I said, I'm proud to be a White Pigeon Township. I'm born and raised here. It's probably where I'll die here. And I really encourage people to do the same, like I said, the same thing. We got to work together as a community, not only as White Pigeon Township, our local communities as well. So like I said, there's an answer to every problem. We just have to put our heads together to find a way to get to that common ground to make everything happen. And yeah, about where I gotta say that. So thank you for listening to that.
I do have something.
Yes.
Jeff, you there?
What?
I just want to give kudos to the fire department because, a week ago or so, on a Tuesday night, I was heading towards Bristol and there was a fire in Mottville on 12. And they passed me. So somebody was driving the pickup truck with the trailer on the back. Okay, you need some kind of lights on the back of that trailer. I don't know, something flashing. I know you got the arrows, but just something flashing.
Did they have lights on the truck driving?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll handle that, because you're not supposed to do that.
Oh. Yeah, they were past me. Yeah, so, but, they got there and when I drove by, the top story, the flames were just shooting out. So I had gone to Bristol and on the way back, I don't know if that was the highway department that showed up, but it was so nice because it was the funky time at night when it was starting to get dark, and you know how it's that transmission. They had boards, the reflector boards up, and guys there with MDOT right there at Man Road, and you could not turn because the fire department needed their space. And then they had it at Vistula Road. They had signs. That caught my eye, which is great. And then they didn't have to worry about somebody driving through and the semis and everything. Same again, last week there was an accident out on 12 by Grass Lake, and same thing again. They showed up and they had the barricades at Huff Road, at my road, which was great because that slowed them down. So I don't know if that was, are you in with MDOT or something, or who was that?
Every time we shut the road down, they send somebody, and depending on how long the road's gonna be shut down for, they send out the barricade crews and stuff like that.
To me, that is wonderful, because years ago, it was a police officer or volunteer fireman that had to sit there. And that's taken away from the firemen then helping with the fire. So my kudos out to the fire department, because to me, what I've seen has been really good.
All right. Anything else? I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:19.